Hi. So today I have a few things planned. I saw a puzzle, so I'll try to solve that. The puzzle is like this. There are four digits, so A, B, C, and D. These are four digits, so they are between 0 to 9. Now there is a number made of these four digits, A, B, C, D. So for example, if we take A, B, C, D to be 1, 2, 3, 4, the number that we're looking at is 1234. Now the puzzle is, first of all, A, B, C, D are unique, so they are not um A is not equal to B. It's not like 1111 or something like that. Now the puzzle is find ABCD such that ABCD plus ABCD plus ABCD plus ABCD is equal to DCBA. So for example, if it was 1234, adding it four times would mean the answer is 4321. So basically the opposite. So I wanted to solve this. Usually when I see maths puzzles, I don't solve them. I just like watch the video. But this one I felt like I just wanted to. So first I'm looking at D, right? So D, 4 times D results in a number that ends with A. So for example, if D is 9, then 9 4 is 36. So A would be 6, right? Um, so it could be something like that. One more thing is that D is most certainly larger than A because the final number is it starts with D, right? And it's addition of um four times the A number. So it has to be like larger than that. I might do it like trial and error as well because I'm not like super, you know, I don't really care that much about finding it in a I mean, doing it algebraically would be simple because what you have is you have so A, B, C, D, all of these are 0 to 9, right? So to represent A, B, C, D as a number, as a single number, we would have 1000 A plus 100 times B plus 10 times C plus D. Then we multiply this with 4. So this is 4000 A plus 400 B plus 40 C plus 4D. And we know this is equal to 1000D plus 100C plus 10B plus A. So we have basically an equation that has four variables. Um, Let me change the page. I wonder if you can hear. I don't think you can hear me turning the page. So I'm using a like a um different like a noise canceling thing. So unfortunately, that also takes away all of this, sound sounds of like moving the pages and stuff like that. Okay, interesting. How do we solve this? Hmm. So one thing is trying to cancel out one term from each side. What if I multiply 4000 on each side? So multiplying 4000 on each side, 4000, that's such a large number. Um, and I don't think that would even work. 4000 on each side. Okay, let me bring everything to one side first. So I'll look at A. So this is equal to 4000 A plus 400 B plus 40 C plus 4D minus 1000 D minus 100 C minus 10 B. Okay. Now we can bring the 4000 as well. This 3999 A. I'm doing this equals to, okay, let me just rewrite this. 3999 A equals to 1000D plus 100C plus 10B minus 400B minus 40C minus 4D. Okay. So we got 1000 minus 4. How much is that? 996D plus 100C minus 40. So that's 60C. And then minus, what is this? 390B. So 3999A equals to this. Now what we can do is take all of this, substitute this. I'll need to divide. Okay, this is getting too complex for what I was wanting. So I want to reapproach the problem once. I want to go back once and look at how else I can approach this. Because this will solve like this. This is like brute forcing it. But I want to see if I can solve this in a simpler way. So we already know that D is larger than A is, right? So what can D be? This is stupid, but let me just try this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we know that multiplying D by 4, we get the end digit is A. So D has to be larger than A. So I'll just multiply all of these by 4. So this is 8, this is 3 4 ja 12. Then this is 16, 20. I'm assuming A is not 0. 6 4 ja 24, 28. 8 4 ja 32 and 36. Okay. So what D cannot be, because D multiplied by 4. So we know D 4D ends in A. And we also know D is larger than. Okay, so it cannot be 1, right? D cannot be 1 because 1 4 ja is larger than 1. It cannot be 2 as well. It can be 3 because it could be that D is 3, A is 2. It cannot be 4. It can technically be 5, but that means A would be 0. So I'm cancelling that out as well. It can be 6. It can't be 7. It can be 8. And it can be 9. So D can be 3, 6, 8, and 9. Okay. We're brute forcing this, but in a different way. Again, sorry for anyone who is finding this extremely boring. But I had this idea of doing this on audio, like in front of someone. Okay. So I'll just brute for this one. So 3 4 are 12. So we would get A equals to 2, D equals to 3. So that means 3 3 3 3, and then 2 2 2 2. Now, one thing is interesting that 3 times 2 would be 6. So that's not D. So actually we can find out. Yeah, so A needs to be small enough. How would that even be possible? Because A needs to be small enough that even a carry would not cause this. Oh, so it is. I think I figured it out. Because it has to be 8. D has to be 8, right? So it's 8, 8, 8, 8. That is 32. And A is 2, 2, 2, 2. So that becomes 8. So now we have two numbers left. two numbers. So 1 is 3 plus 4x. So this would result in a digit. Let's say a for now. This digit multiplied 4a. Okay, interesting. So first of all, this is an odd number, whatever this is. So that's interesting. Um, I know the first and last digit, so I'm happy about that. That's half the problem solved. It has to be. It can't be anything else. But then this is stripping. So if this is an odd number, right? This also has to be an odd number then. So what could it be? The odd numbers are one. Okay. What if I just brute force this as well? 1, 1, 1, 1. So this is 4, 3, 7. Yeah, it can't be 7. So the left side one number, technically speaking, B has to be pretty small, right? So what if this is just 1, 1, 1, 1? That's 4. And what if this is 4, 4, 4, 4? That's 16 plus 3, 19. So that doesn't work. So it can't be 1. Am I wrong with the 8 and 2 as well? I really think it is 8 and 2. Could it be 6 and 4 then? Because 6 and 4 would be 4, 4, 4, 4. Nah, it can't be 6 and 4. It has to be 8 and 2, right? It's either 3 and 2 or 8 and 2. Why did we discount 3 and 2? It's because 3 4 ja. Wait, why did we discount it? 4 just 12. 2, 2, 2, 2 is 6. Oh yeah, because this has to be the same as D. 2 4 ja 8. 8 4 ja 32. The middle one is tripping me up. I really do believe that it is this, but now I'm like confused for what is the middle one. It's an odd number, right? A B is an odd number. Okay. What could it be? It could be 1. I'm leaning towards 1, but 1 doesn't seem to work. Because what? It would be 4, even with some carry. But this would then need to go here. Again, the number we are looking at 3. Okay, 3 plus 4x, right? 3 plus 4x. Okay, it can't be more than 20, I think. So for 1, we get 7. For 2, 8 plus 3 is 11. For 3, 12 plus 3 is 15. For 4, 16 plus 3 is 19. For 5, we get 23. So it has to be between 1, 2, 3, and 4. It can't be more than that. Now we know it's an odd number, right? I think it's an odd number. Is it? No, no. The other one is an odd number. This could be even. And all of these do end in odd. Okay. 2 seems to be the answer. But we already had 2. So it can't be 2, right? So it can't be 2. So that leaves 4. So 4 is 16. But this can't. Okay. Fine. Fine. I'm going to look up the answer. I think 2 and 8 I'm pretty confident about. Yeah, so it is 8 and 2. It is 1 as well. It's 7. Damn. What is the answer? 2178. 1, 7, 8. That's such an interest. 32. 7 4 is 28 plus 3. So I was wrong about this being less than. Okay, 11. 31. Oh, wow. That is nice. Okay. I think I could have cracked it because we were also on 1, right? Because this can't be too big either. So we were pretty close to 1 as well. And then all we would have to do is just add them. Okay, okay. Pretty close. I actually don't like, or rather, um, don't do puzzles that often. Maths puzzle, I usually just watch the solution. Okay, now for chess. So what I wanted to do is kind of stupid, but I wanted to see if I can explain how chess works um in just audio, which should be a little bit difficult but fun. Now, if you know how to play chess already, this will be in levels. So going from like very basic stuff to a little bit more advanced. I would say I'm a pretty good chess player, but also I know a lot about chess, even if I can't like, always apply it. Even if I can't play that well, I know pretty decently the theory. Okay. So first, very basic stuff, right? What is chess? It's a turn-based game. Two players play, one player goes first. Uh the two players are usually, one player plays as white and the other player plays as black. So there are total 16 pieces. We play it on a 8 by 8 board. One small thing to note is on the lower right corner, the board should be white corner. So the white corner of the board should be on both players' lower right side. Um, just a small thing. Okay. So there are a total of, I'm just counting it right now. So there are, both players play with 16 total pieces. The pieces are, there are 8 pawns, there are 2 rooks, 2 knights, 2 bishops, a king, and a queen. So on the bottommost row, for the white, you go from left to right. You place a rook, then a knight, then a bishop. They should be on a dark square. Then queen, then king, then another bishop. This should be on the white square. Then a knight, and then a rook. And then on the row above that, you place all the pawns. For the black um, side, it is the same, but you place the king before the queen. So when you look at the board, white queens, the queens should be facing each other. The king should be facing each other. The queens, to remember like how to play them. Again, as I said, you have to place the board so that the white corner is on the lower right side. Other than that, how to remember where the queen and king sit? There's a neat little like thing that people remember, which is the queens are fashionable. So they always match their squares. So the white queen sits on the white square, the black queen sits on the black square. So with that, a board is set. Now, how do the pieces move? I think I'll start with the easy ones, which is the queen. So the queen moves in all directions, any number of moves. Actually, let's start with the rook. So the rook moves orthogonally. So that means that it moves straight up, straight down, straight left, or straight right. The bishop moves diagonally. So it moves in an X formation, sort of. One thing to note is that bishops cannot change their color. So if a white bishop, like if you have a white bishop, it will always stay on the white squares. If you have a black bishop, it always stays on the black squares. Then you have the king, which moves one move at a time in any direction. So it can move one square in any direction, um, but it cannot move more than one square. There are some exceptions. We'll come back to those later. Then there is the queen, which moves like a rook and a bishop combined. So it can move in any direction, any number of moves, so diagonally or straight up, straight down. Then there's a knight. I'll come back to knight in a second. But one thing to note is that you cannot move through your own pieces. So if I have a queen and I have any other piece in front of it, I cannot move through that piece. So I cannot jump over it basically, right? Same with the bishop, same with the king. None of these pieces can move through their own pieces. They cannot move through an enemy piece either, but if you land on an enemy piece, you can take it. You cannot land on your own piece, but you can land on an enemy piece and take that piece. The exception to the no jumping rule is knight. A knight can move through any other piece. So it doesn't follow a particular path. The way a knight moves is a bit tricky, especially for new players. Um, so basically, it moves two squares in any direction straight. So it can move a straight up, a straight down, a straight left, or a straight right in any direction. And then it can take one step 90 degrees. So, for example, if I move my knight to the right, two steps, then I can move it, then I have to move it one step up 90 degrees, so up or down. So when you do that move, it looks like it moved in an L shape. It's a bit tricky to visualize. Um, 1 second, I'm just like playing with the. So I have the chess like thing open on my screen. Um, so that I can see the board basically. Just don't mind it. Okay, so again, the knight, it can it moves like this is how it moves. You don't have a choice of like just moving two steps or anything. You have to move like this. So you have to move two steps in any orthogonal direction. So straight up, straight down, left, right, and then 90 degrees, one step. If you see all the like the way I practiced learning how a knight moves, what I did was in an empty board, place a knight and point at every position where the knight can move. It sort of looks like a flower. Um, you can visualize it in many different ways, but that's how I remember. Like basically, it is all the black squares. If you're in a white square, it's all the black squares a little bit far away from the knight. It will take a bit to understand what is actually happening. Especially hard to explain it in just audio. But for now, I'll just repeat it once more. Uh, Straight ahead two steps, the 90-degree one step. Okay. One thing about knights is that they always change colors. So if your knight is starting on a black square, on the next step it will always be on a white square. Okay. Now, with now we have two pieces left to explain. Technically, it's just one piece, but we haven't explained the king fully yet either. So the first piece is the pawn. So the way the pawns move is they move one step at a time. So they only move one step. They can only move forward. So they only move one step forward. The only exception, okay, not the only exception, actually, there are many exceptions, but they move one step forward. But as I explained, for example, if you have a queen and there's an enemy piece in front of you, you can capture it by moving on top of it. This doesn't work with pawns. Pawns cannot capture by moving forward. Instead, they capture by moving diagonally. So the only way for a pawn to move diagonally is if there is an enemy piece there that you can capture. Hope that made it sense. So basically, pawns can only move forward. They cannot capture forward. The only way for them to capture anything is if anything is one step to their diagonal. So basically, if something is right in front of them but not straight ahead, diagonally, then they can capture it by moving to that part. Now, there are many special rules about the pawns. First, a special rule. Okay, straight up. This is me 2 days later because someone interrupted me that day. So now I am, yeah, hi, hello. Since I was explaining, I listened to it a little bit. So I was explaining how chess works. So I'll just continue a little bit with it. So we were talking about pawns, right? Pawns have a couple of special moves, right? First is whenever you move a pawn for the first time, so you have 8 pawns, right? So you can do this 8 times. So when you move a pawn for the first time, you can either move it one step as you usually do, or you can move it 2 steps. So you can move it 2 step at a time. I'm just opening the yeah, I'm just opening the board so I can easily see stuff. Okay. So again, each pawn when you move it for the first time, you can move it 2 steps at a time, right? This is usually how people play. Okay. The second special move is when a pawn reaches the opposite end of a board. So if a white pawn reaches the last row where the black pieces are, which happens sometimes, you can promote it. So you can switch out the pawn for a different piece. Usually you are going to switch it out for a queen because that's good, right? But there is no like you can switch it out for any other piece. But again, generally speaking, you do switch it out for a queen because queen is the best piece, technically speaking. Um, and the last special move, which is very weird, so you'll have to pay some attention, right? Is en passant. So what happens in this move is basically when you move. So first of all, when is this move possible? Because this move is possible in very specific scenarios. I'm also going to turn down the volume on my mic just a little bit because I'm afraid it's too loud right now. So um the move is possible only so this move is possible when your opponent moves their pawn twice. So basically, the two move, right? So for example, let's say you and I are playing, right? If I move my pawn 2 steps at a time in the next move, so your move, you have to move next, right? In this one move, you can perform this move. If you don't, then after that you lose the ability to perform this move, right? So I'll repeat this once more. If you're playing, right? If you and I are playing, if I move a pawn 2 steps, then you, in your turn, get the ability to perform an en passant. If you don't do it this turn, you can't do it next turn, right? Unless I again move my pawn 2 steps. So what exactly is this move? So this move, so before explaining what this move is, I want you to imagine, right? I move my pawn 1 step, right? This is hard to visualize, but let's say your pawn is so I move my pawn 1 step, right? Just 1 step. And your pawn is diagonally positioned to take my pawn, right? How you would take my pawn is just move it diagonally, right? So you would move your pawn to where I moved my pawn, right? So when it is an en passant, right? Basically the exact same thing happens. So imagine your pawn in the same position, right? So it is a little bit ahead of my row. What would happen if you pushed your pawn twice, like basically 2 steps? I can't take your pawn anymore, right? But using en passant, basically it acts as if your pawn is still in that position. So I can still take the pawn, even though it's no longer in that position. I'm not explaining it more than this because, as I said, it's been 1 day already. And I think this is, anyways, a very complicated move. I'll just end this by explaining castling, right? So when your king hasn't moved and one of your rooks also hasn't moved, and oh my god, this is so complicated. You know what? I'm just going to give up. Sometimes it's fine to give up. um, we'll come back to chess some other time. But I wanted to talk about something, which is writing, right? A specific type of writing. So If you go to youtube.com right now and search college humor, I'm doing it right now. College humor, one word. So if I search college humor, what shows up is dropout. So I'll just read their description. Welcome to Dropout's YouTube channel. We used to be College Humor, but after 20 years, everyone getting fired and launching a streaming service, we decided to rebrand. All our old videos are still there. So basically, Dropout is, there's a very interesting thing with Jake and Amir, if you know them as well, which is, as far as I know, this is the only time where a YouTube videos have been transferred with the views to a different channel, which I haven't seen happen anywhere else. Anyways, so Dropout is basically the old college humor, right? Now there's one very interesting thing, which is, first of all, right now their latest videos are nothing like the older videos, right? So I'll go back a little bit, actually go back a lot. Um it is going on. I can't even watch these videos because most of these videos are members only. So it's a very much paid sort of service at this point. Like you pay them, they make videos, that sort of thing. As they said, they fired everyone in the sense like uh, it's more like everyone left because everyone had like very good opportunities. Some of their old casts are like SNL writers today. Okay, I'm still going behind. Like these are pretty old videos. Okay, so I think I'll start around. Okay, let me scroll past. Um, yeah. So for me, this is a new day. So hope you're doing well. Still, I'm pretty sure I asked this already, but well. Um, I had some really good food today. So I had momos, chocolate waffles, and iced tea. I actually still have iced tea. Have some drink. Um, it was really nice. Um, oh my goodness, I'm 4 years back, and it's still I'm like stuck in there. Uh, like I'm still not able to reach the point where I want to start talking about like writing. Um, wow, I am genuinely amazed at how much this has changed. Okay, I am slowly like seeing some videos that I recognize. COVID hit these guys pretty badly as well because wow, I can't even scroll more than this. What? What is happening? Uh, I'm so confused because this channel has gone through so many changes. It's actually crazy. If I don't see this, I'll have to speak through what I remember, which should be a little bit difficult because I don't want to, make up stuff or misremember stuff, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, I think okay, it's still loading. I think it's just like it has so many videos that YouTube is just struggling to like load the older videos. I am right now, by the way, 4 years ago. Still, I'm not finding the stuff that I want to talk about. Okay, you know what? I'll start talking from memory and let this load slowly. First of all, what I'm seeing right now, a lot of it is just people talking, sort of podcasty. A lot of it is so there are certain series, right? One of it is, for example, Don't Laugh News. So they speak about stuff. So they have like fake news headlines, and they have to read it without laughing. Then there is Dimension 20, which is a D&D campaign that these guys do, right? It's fun. But okay, I am now convinced that at 5 years they have, I think, removed the videos or something, because after this it's literally not loading like at the exact same time. Anyways, so okay, it's now loading. So um a lot of it is like very improv sort of stuff, and quite long as well. Like some of this is like half an hour long. Right. Before this, when they were still college humor, right? So this is mostly dropout content, right? Which is why I haven't seen this, as I said, because it's member only. Um, Also, it's just not the stuff that they were known for. So this is what um I think we have reached now. So when it still used to be college humor, right? That was that is when they used to make content. So basically you can divide the history of college humor slash dropout into, I think, four different categories. One is dropout, which is the recent one, which, as I explained, is mostly the stuff like podcast or improv humor or game shows, the stuff like that, right? Not super scripted, not super uh, not super scripted, and sort of not super improv either, right? It's like a mix of both. As I said, game shows, but also they have like literally just series, like YouTube series sort of. But in the very beginning, they were a website making like gag videos, like skit videos, basically. So when they started, they were a skit channel, basically, right? They would write comedy scripts and perform them. The series that they were most known for, I think, was Hardly Working. So if you go and see some of the older videos, okay, now we have actually finally gotten to the point of where I can talk about. So this is 6 years ago. So the first videos were Hardly Working. I'll actually find that as well. That should be much easier to find. Yeah. So Hardly Working, the first listed video anyway, was 18 years ago. Internet commenter, business meeting, pet peeves, stuff like this, right? So these are like sort of filmed in an office, and the general it's very stupid humor. Like if you go through it, it's a very dumb, like nonsensical, absurdist humor. So it starts here, right? Then there is the, I would say, the everyone calls it the golden era of college humor, which is this, but like a little bit higher quality. So the writing was much better, the acting was much better, and it felt very natural. That was one of the best things, that it felt like it is fully natural, and there were no like YouTube intros or anything. It felt like you are just watching just the next door office, right? It felt like you're just watching someone do something and someone just happened to record it, or you just happened to be there, right? Very unprofessional sort of style. Then you go on to the middle era, basically the modern era, I guess, where they started to be a bit more YouTube, right? So they had a very clean intro. They started. One thing to me that stands out is just how much the camera handling became better. But in that, it started making it feel more artificial, because now the cameras are very like previously the cameras just cut from one camera to the other. You didn't really feel like you're watching a carefully edited video, right? Whereas now it feels like the camera's presence, you can feel it, right? The writing also became much more um cinematic. Like earlier the writing was such that you would feel that, oh, these are just people who talk like this, whereas now it felt like, okay, these are people clearly reading something, or like, you know very like long, sometimes very long sentences, or sometimes very witty sentences that feel crafted, right? And then final, like, latest version of college humor, which is the transition phase between dropout and college humor. So I guess this would be like the fifth version or whatever, because the first one was the very early version, the second one was the golden era, the third one was the modern college humor, the fourth one was the latest college humor, and the fifth one is the dropout, which technically isn't college humor. So in that version, the cast was completely different, right? And this is where we can actually start looking at the channel. So I'll just read out some of the titles. So one is bragging about your ignorance, and the thumbnail says never heard of it. Then there is, do we really need baby boomers? Um, do I hate The Bachelor? The Bachelor therapy. Your annoying cheap friend. What's wrong with being whipped? These are some of the titles, right? The one thing I want to point out is how the titles feel very like eye-catching, sort of like bringing the worst thing to a potluck. Like you want to click on it, you want to know what the answer is, right? Whereas some of the older titles, right? So this is me reading out the hardly working titles: Dodgeball, Bizarro Office, Yoga Class, American Psychos, um, Bangkok, Phone Call. These are just words. Like to me, that's part of the allure, I guess. And if you couldn't tell, I'm really a fan of the golden era of college humor, and I dislike the newer versions. But as you can see, like the newer ones are clearly with a title, with a theme that's supposed to catch your eye, that's supposed to get you in, right? It's about a topic usually. Whereas you cannot really tell what the older ones are about, because it's just, and usually the title has nothing to do with the video anyways. Birthdays, new editor, conga line, brainstorming. These are just like titles. Um so that's one thing. But if you go to the comments and stuff, one thing you'll see very, very clearly is that people are talking about how the new college humor is quote unquote woke. And if I actually go through one of the videos, I so this is what I was talking about, right? About writing. Because I think that a lot of people, and this is not just related to college humor, I just took this as an example, but a lot of video game writing specifically, including movies as well, has quote unquote gone woke, right? And I have something to say about it, which is I think that it's unfair to say that, because it is not. So, what does going woke mean, first of all? It just means pushing an agenda, right? Of, okay, these are the things that we want to push. And I think that that's unfair because it's not that writing has gone woke, it's that the writing has gone bad. A lot of this, like the new era of college humor, all of these people are very young and they are not very experienced compared to the older crew, right? As I said, the older crew went on to do SNL and very, uh, prestigious, I guess, positions. Whereas these kids actually were like really young when they joined and they got a lot of backlash. Eventually, they did find their crowd. Sorry if you can hear that in the background, it just crows or something. But eventually, they did find their crowd. But the point is still stands that it was not good writing. But I don't think that means that it was like being woke in itself. I think at least I know my friends would agree that that is the goal. Like being woke, like, because what does being woke even mean? Let me just Google it once. Being woke meaning. Uh, oh, woke is an adjective derived from African American English. I didn't know this. Awareness of racial prejudice and discrimination. So this is just, yeah, okay, this is even better than what I thought. So okay, now defined. So there's another more like, I guess, recent one. Aware and aware of and actively attentive to important facts and issues, especially issues of racial and social justice. So today, I would say being woke is something that we should strive for, not go against, right? People who are like claiming that, oh, this thing used to be good before it went woke. I think that's completely not the point, because things can be woke, quote unquote, while, I mean, quote unquote, at this point, like, seeing the actual definition being woke is a good thing. I don't know why people use it in a bad way, but being woke is not, never has been the problem. The problem has been bad writing, and not even bad writing, but writing from inexperienced people, which naturally leads to bad writing, right? Because they are trying to, you know, like, they are trying to instill their own values or their own feelings in their writing, but they're not experienced enough yet to do it in a way that doesn't feel forced, that doesn't feel like, because, for example, one thing that people who try to write a strong women do very often very wrong is that they just write asshole women, or they just write women who are, assholes to everyone around them. But that's not what a strong woman means, right? um Good examples of strong women in video games, funnily enough, are, so for example, Lara Croft is one, right? Which, if you see the history of Lara Croft, she has always been a very independent, very strong woman. Although marketed very sexualized, in a sexualized way, she has been a very independent character, right? But in the recent entries, she has been somewhat of a character who gets into trouble a lot, sort of a victim character. Not good. Samus has been one of my favorite representations of women in media, because she is just a silent protagonist. In itself, that is, I think, pretty rare to have a silent woman protagonist. I'll actually look this up, because now that I've said it, I'm curious. Silent women protagonists. Protagonists. I know Google might not give me answers, so I might need to go to. Unfortunately, I might need to go to ChatGPT, because when I search silent protagonist, all it's giving me is just a list of silent protagonists, and I'm going through the list, and as you can expect, all of them are male. So I'll quickly use ChatGPT, just see if it can find me. Most probably this will be wrong, but let's see. Um, so Portal, yeah. So Chell from Portal, I guess that is actually correct. Um, Instantly, the second one I just don't know at all. So I'm not going to. Frisk from Undertale. So Frisk is not a gendered character. Um, Chris from Deltarune. Isn't Chris a guy? Uh, yeah. So Chris doesn't have a gender either. Hat Kid from A Hat in the Time. But I think the Knight from Hollow Knight also, I don't think is a, yeah. So it's a gender neutral. The girl from Gris. Yeah. So very rarely any character. Samus somehow didn't make it there. Maybe Samus speaks. Is Samus? Um, I still miss that. There are, okay. So Samus isn't a silent protagonist, but anyways, my point was that um, when it comes to strong female characters, right, strong women characters, there aren't many who are written very well. When they are written, they are, because a lot of the characters are written by people who, again, the idea of being woke, especially in this specific, you know making women and people of color more representative in media is sort of new, right? Older people, I'm not saying every old person, but a lot of older people don't align with this idea completely. So they are not going to write character like that, right? Even if they want to, they wouldn't, that would be something new to them, right? They're experienced writers, but that would be something new to them. Then it becomes on the young writers. Sorry, my alarm just rang. Then it would be on the shoulders of the young writers to write these themes, right? But then what happens is they end up writing stuff that isn't good. And it's nothing to do with wokeness or anything. It's just that they are not able to manifest what they want to convey properly, right? Again, a strong women character doesn't mean she has to be physically strong or she has to be, bossy or rude or anything, right? A lot of strong male characters are empathetic and likable and, gentle. A strong character doesn't mean you have to go against everything, right? Actually, this is sort of what I'll just put a conclusion, which is I think um a lot of backlash for stuff like this is directed towards the wokeness, whereas it should be directed towards the bad writing. But it is like bad actors. All the time it is bad actors. Like so many bloody. I was watching a YouTube, like I very rarely watch YouTube videos from people I don't know, especially when the title or the thumbnail feels very clickbaity or very outrageous, right? So there was this video titled why GTA 6 will fail. I'll actually open the video very quickly. So, I usually don't watch videos like this, but every now and then I will give it a watch just because it's sort of my job. It's sort of my job because of the fact that I have to listen to the, I have to listen a little bit to the other side of things as well, right? Like they might be wrong. I mean, you know what? I know that they are wrong, but it's important for me to see what the general public is thinking, right? Um, what they are, um, what their thought process is, because it's wrong, but it's important for me to know. Now, holy shit, is this one of the worst videos and channels I've ever seen? If I could delete this channel, I instantly, without a hesitation word, this is one of the worst channels and videos I've ever seen. So the title is Why GTA 6 Will Suck. And to you, whoever is listening, right, you are probably thinking, okay, this is probably going to be something related to video game theory or some speculation that you wouldn't get, right? This is what I was hoping for because that is interesting conversation, right? If it's something related to video game theory or something related to the history of GT or something like that. But what is it? The way this video starts is very telling of what the tone of the video is. So this video starts by saying old GTA was like this, and it just plays a 5 minute compilation or like 2 minute compilation of people saying the N word in the old GTA games. It's literally for like 15 seconds. I'm looking at the transcript right now. Literally for 15 seconds, it just goes N word after N word. And then it says all the GT Online stuff since 2020 is like this. And then it shows some more quote unquote woke stuff. I guess it's not even woke, it's just bad writing. It's literally just bad writing. Stuff like have not fear, it is I don't, something like this. Only gunshots you going to hear, and here be some fools bullet. So some stuff. It's like bad writing, right? I'm reading the captions, so I'm like the captions are not all correct. So one of the lines is, "You heard what she said. You look like a hoe." Stuff like this. So this is the person is speaking in the video again. I don't really guys, can I be honest with you? I don't really care if GTA 6 gets delayed again, because whenever these games come out, it's going to be, again, I'm repeating what they said, gay. And how do I know this? Three reasons. And some people I don't even know. The whole point, like in this entire video, this guy's point is, and I want to find the actual yeah, this is the point of the guy. Do you know who created Nico, CJ, Tommy, and all the others? It was Dan Houser, Leslie Benzies, David Jones, Aaron Gerber, Michael Unsworth. All of them are gone, kiddo. It's just a bunch of fat white women working there now. And fat white women definitely know how to make based, edgy video games, as we have seen with Concord and Veilguard and Ghost of Workday. I want to say this. Whoever this person is, first of all, if you're listening, just just drop a dislike, drop a hateful comment, and leave from here. I do not want you here. But more importantly, these people have no clue about writing or video games or video game design. To them, just inserting a bunch of slurs in a video is funny and cool and edgy. Like the idea that the, do I even need to say anything? I trust that whoever, like three, four people who watch my videos, all of them are going to get why this is such a. It triggered me. You have no idea when I was watching this how much it triggered me. It triggered me to no end. Just a tip, by the way, if you watch shit like this, please open it up on incognito. And once you watched it, if it showed up in your feed, remove the history, uh, remove the history and go to your feed and see this video. If you see this video, press on not interested or don't recommend channel, because otherwise it will keep recommending you shit like this. I don't swear that much, but this is just triggering so much, because, and there are, the comments are absurd as well. Um yeah, the comments are just as, if not more, deluded. The problem is that the person saying this, you know what the funnier thing is? So around like 5 minutes or something, yeah. I'm just reading this, right? I'm just reading the captions. And I just discovered this website to get brand new games super cheap and legit. And it's called Aniba. So check this out. Expedition 33 is $50 in Steam right now. It's 26 on Annie. Silent Hill is on Aniba. Silent Hill 2 is 70 on Steam right now. It's 27 on Aniba. Done. Surely, this is a scam, right? How can these guys do this? Aniba basically buys game keys in bulk and at deep discount in other countries, and then they resell them at a slightly higher price. So they're still making a profit. It's a pretty cool idea. Every game key I've gotten from them was legit. If you get one and it doesn't work, you just send them the screenshots of what happened and they'll give you a full refund. It works for Steam games, Xbox, PS5. And I don't think I need to tell you this, but this is almost a scam. So I went to the website, right? And it is, so I want to mention this, right? I'm not 100% sure how exactly this works. First of all, 100% this uh 100% this guy is like somehow affiliated with this, right? I don't even need to say that. But the issue is that a lot of this is, first of all, literally some of this is more expensive than the actual games that you find on Steam or whatever. The other issue is that the way this works, the guy is not wrong in that they get stuff on bulk, but they also scam people on bulk. Like they, one of the examples of this was this golden edition flip phone. What they were doing is they were selling flip phones to some people for very cheap, like extremely cheap. But these people were usually YouTubers or famous people, so they would actually receive the product and review it or something, right? But as soon as a regular person would order it, they would just get scammed, because then you are not getting So their idea is to sell something for extremely cheap to a very few people while not doing the same for a lot of people. So this is how they're earning most of their money. Never trust stuff like this, please. Always um trust your stuff like this team, right? Which is something that is so well established that if there is a problem, if there's an issue, they will always refund you, they will always help you out, right? Which reminds me, I ordered something from KFC and I didn't get the food and didn't get the money back, so I need to call them again today. But okay, that's a different thing. Again, this is such a bad. I am so triggered by stuff like this. You have no idea. So this is why I stay away from stuff like this. But every now and then something like this will show up in my feed and it will just piss me off. It worries me. Like it worries me for the state of the young generation, it worries me for the state of the young generation if this is what they're listening to and this is what they're getting influenced by. Because you and me, right? We are from a different part of the internet. If you are somehow listening to this, right, you probably agree with me on a lot of different points. But the other kids, they are not listening to any of these thoughts, right? They are not engaging with these thoughts, so they don't have this perspective. Okay. Is there anything else or should I just upload this video? This is 1 hour. I haven't done a 1 hour video in a long time, so this will be a new one. Hope you're doing well. Hope should I go back on chess? I kind of want. Okay. Let me just open chess and quickly see where we were at. So I explained pawns, right? Um okay, let me explain castling quickly as well. So as you can see, when you have the board in front of you, right? The king and the rooks. So king is in the middle. There are then pieces, and the rooks are on the opposite sides. If there are no pieces between your king and your rook, right? So there are no pieces between them. Neither your king or the rook that you're planning to castle with has been moved once. So they shouldn't have been moved at all. And the king must not be in check, or any of the squares between the king and the rook must not be in check. So what is check? I'll explain that later. But basically, they should not be in line with any other enemy piece. Then you can castle. So basically, as long as your king is protected and there is a space between your king and your rook and neither of them have been moved, you can castle. So what does castling mean? Basically, you move your king 2 steps towards the rook and you bring your rook and place it to the opposite side of the king. So there are 2 rooks, right? One on the right, one on the left. So we'll focus on the one that is on the right. So you move your king 2 steps to the right and then you move your rook to the left of your king. So the rook just goes to the left of your king. Again, if you're doing this with the left rook, all you do is you move your king 2 steps to the left and then you move your rook 1 step to the right of your king. So this is what castling looks like. You can only castle once per game, and again, you can castle only if your king and rook haven't been moved and the king wasn't in check. Okay. With all of this said, what is the you know what? There's one more thing, which is the value of each piece. So each piece is different value. The king is the highest value and it is basically infinite because if you lose the king, you lose the game. So the king is the highest value piece. Then after the king, the highest value is queen. So technically the queen is 9 piece valued at 9. So the value of the queen is 9 points, but it is not as simple as, oh, okay, so you know, 3 of 3, like it's not simple. So I'll explain how it works in detail later. But for now, knowing that queen is 9 points should be fine. Then there are the pawns, which are 1 point each. The horse, the knight, and the horse and the knight are the same piece. The knight and the bishop. These two are both 3 points each. The rook is 5 points each. So with that, what is the purpose of the game? The purpose of the game is to checkmate your opponent. What does checkmate mean? Well, the checkmate means that your king is under attack from an enemy piece, and it cannot move or capture the piece that is attacking. So basically, your king cannot move and uh, cannot move out of the check or the whatever. Okay, let me read. So first of all, what is a check? Let us start from there. When your king is being attacked by a piece, that's a check. So for example, if my king is in the middle of the board and in front of me is an enemy rook, that's a check, because my king, if I don't do anything, can be taken by the enemy rook in the next move. One thing to note is that you cannot capture a king. Capturing a king is never allowed in the game. Now, I want to phrase it a bit differently. It's just a legacy thing, but technically, what happens is before you can capture the enemy king, the game ends. That's technically how it works. So basically, if you have checkmated the king and if you were to continue to play the game, as soon as the person who is being checkmated makes their move, in the next move you can take their king. But the game just happens to end before this happens. In short, checkmate is when it is impossible for your king to survive. Again, check is when you are being attacked by an enemy piece. So, for example, a rook is in front of your king or a bishop is diagonal to your king, right? That's check. You can, if you are in check, you have to move your king or you have to block the check or you have to capture the piece, because again, you cannot allow your king to be taken, right? Uh, I want to point something out, which is a game doesn't simply end when you just forget that your king is in check and I just take your king. That doesn't happen. If your king is in check somehow, you have to move your king. Like, that is the only legal move. You cannot, like, I cannot win if in a tournament, for example, if someone doesn't notice that their king was in check and then they move and I don't notice it, I cannot take the king. If I do that, I am disqualified. That because that's an illegal move. And all I can do is like call out or call for some, call for the referee to make a decision or something. My point being that a check is basically forcing your king to move or to uh, block the check by placing a different piece in front of it, or by taking the piece, capturing the piece that is giving me the check. For example, if a rook is giving me the check, right, and I have a piece that can take the rook, I have to take the rook or I have to move my king. Okay. Checkmate is when I am in check, but none of the moves put me out of check. So either I have to move in a square where some enemy piece is already attacking, or I um yeah, that's it, I guess, because there is that's how checkmate works. Like, you cannot move your king, you cannot capture the piece for whatever reason. Maybe you just don't have a piece that can capture it, or if your king cannot capture it because it's defended. Oh wow, this is so complicated. Like, trying to explain this to someone, especially without a visual aid, right, is so difficult. But it also makes me realize how complicated chess is to someone who hasn't played it, right? um I'll just rephrase once what checkmate is. So king is being attacked by an enemy piece. Your first of all, your king cannot take a piece if it is defended. Again, your king cannot perform any action that will lead to the king being taken in the next move. So, for example, if a rook is attacking me and the rook is being defended by another rook, let's say, if I take the rook, right? If I take the rook as the king, the other rook will then have the opportunity to take me in the next move. So I cannot do that because that's an illegal move. So that's the first thing. Holy shit. The other thing is that I cannot move my king in. So for example, rook is besides me. It's not attacking me, but it's besides me. I cannot move my king in the line of sight of the rook because then it would have the opportunity to take me in the next move. So that becomes an illegal move. Right. With all of this being said, let me just by the way, one quick thing. Okay. With all of this being said, um what is just a second. I'm trying to remove. Okay. Oh my god. How do we even start? So the fundamentals of chess is that you have to. It is difficult, dude. It is really difficult. Like getting someone to start playing chess. I'm realizing it this now slowly is such a difficult task because you have to know all of these rules. These are just rules of the games. I haven't gotten to the actual strategies or the fundamentals, right? The difference between fundamentals and a strategy, by the way, fundamentals are very basic stuff that every time you make a move, that should just happen like naturally, right? With strategy, then becomes something more complex that based on whether or not you know the strategy, you'll be able to win against a particular opponent. I think this is enough for now. But yeah, hope you're doing well. I enjoy explaining stuff to people, really. But this will be a 1 hour long video. I One more thing that I can do, I probably won't do though, is edit some thumbnails. I have some photos, so I can quickly go and edit them, but I'm not going to. Dude, can I just say by the way, border collie puppies are so bloody cute. They are. I have this video of this. Oh my goodness, I have this video of this border collie puppy. It's an online video. If you want to look it up, I can link it, but I'm afraid like of I don't know something. I guess like linking it would be bad or something. So you can search on YouTube. Puppy gets shy after I kiss her on the head. It's two little kids by the way. It just the puppy is a kid and the girl who is recording the video is a kid, I'm pretty sure. And it's just the cutest little chocolate border collie puppy who is just playful. I'm a cat person. I'm like through and through a cat person. But I do love dogs as well. But this puppy in particular is just so unbelievably playful and cute. It never fails to make me um never fails to melt me. It is just she is a girl puppy and she is just unbelievably sweet. What is her name actually? Tessa, I think. Yeah, her name is Tessa. Dude, how are these real creatures on our planet? It is actually just unreal. I am dying to get a pet. I cannot get a pet at any time soon, unfortunately, but I am dying to just get a pet and it would be so much fun, dude. Just a dumb little pet. You have no idea how much I love cats specifically, but these dumb puppies as well. Anyways, I think I'll go now. Um hope to see you soon. Hope you're doing well. If things have been tough, hope you're able to hang on. And yeah, see you soon. Bye bye.